I guess we had a viewer mailbag of a few weeks ago where we talked a little bit about looking at email headers, and we thought it would be good to bring an expert in here. And Tony, for folks that aren't aware, what kind of work do you do?
I do email security for AT&T. I do a lot of research and remediation when it comes down to anything that's SMTP for the company. So there's a lot going on when it comes down to it. A lot of different things when dealing with malware. I mean, working with John and Matt and yourself with some of the examples that come around. Things get busy around here.
Right. And so I think we've really brought the expert here, and I guess you're going to walk us through some of the things that you can look for in a email header to try to get at least some idea whether it looks suspicious or not.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to bring up, it was based on a question when they were talking about when viewing potential spam. The new Yahoo Mail does not appear to allow you to hover over any of the URLs. The reason for this is it's security conscious. When there is a suspicious email, it's moved into a spam folder.
Right.
And what happens is they actually defang the email so the reader doesn't make an accidental click on something instead of hovering over the email and sending them to a place where they really shouldn't be. So Yahoo has taken a couple extra steps to decrease the amount of information you can get right from the front of the email, which is good for the reader. Now, because it's in there, you can't see the URL. You really can't tell if it's pointing to your financial institution or the business you're dealing with. So there's some other steps that you can take to take a look at the email, and one thing is the header. Now, the header in an email basically is behind the scenes. Readers don't see it, but it's there, and it contains all sorts of information about the email. Who it's coming from, who it's going to, where it came from, IP domain-wise. It actually even maps out all the different places it has gone to get to your inbox. So what we've done is I'm presenting a slide here real quick that goes over the different items that are within the email. So just to start off with this is let's take a look at what the intent of the email is. That's one thing that you should always question when you're looking at an email and you want to kind of check out what it's where it's coming from and what it's doing is the intent. Look for who it's coming from and what they want you to do. If they want you to take any sort of action or if they put words in it that scares you. So when it's in the spam folder, realize that the filters that look at your email have deemed it suspicious in the first place. So if it's really pointing to something that's kind of iffy, be careful with it. My recommendation is not to take action on it. But if you're unsure, you can look in the header. And one of the easiest ways to do this is when you are in Yahoo, you select the email that you want to look at. And at the top row, there is a bunch of different options. And one of the options that you should do is you click More. And underneath that is a window that will say View Full Headers. So what's on the screen is a couple different items that I would want you to look at. First off is look at the to line. If it says your email address, it's going to you. Now that doesn't mean it's legitimate, but if it says undisclosed or multiple recipients there, that is something that I would be very leery of, because if it's coming from your financial institution and it's about your account, it should be to you and not multiple recipients.
All right.
Some of the other items that I would want you to look at would be where it's coming from. So the from address. Now, if the from address is something very familiar, that actually will help you kind of decide if this is a legitimate email or not. So if the from address is coming from a different domain, if it's coming from a different country code that's not related to the email itself, be very leery of it. If it's coming from some place that you've never even seen or heard of before, that is a good sign that it's not good, and just to leave it alone. Some of the other things that you can do is look at the originating IP. The originating IP is where the email actually came from. Now, at the bottom of this slide, I've actually posted two URLs. Jump into that real quick. One of them is the who is. And what you can do is if you want to do some investigation with this, grab that IP, copy it, and go to a website. That Whois website is a good one, and just add it in there. It will tell you where that IP is at. So if you're dealing with your, say, again, financial institution, and you know your financial institution is based in the same state you're in or the same country you're in, and the IP is coming from a completely different area or different country, that's a good sign that it's not legitimate. And one of the other ones that I have there is when you're looking at the received from. Now, there's a lot of stuff in that portion of the header, but looking at the bottom of the received from and working your way up, you will see where it's coming from and where it's bouncing to get to your inbox. Now, this example right here actually shows that it's coming from a different country code at .ae. Now, .ae is not a US-based country code. It's a different country. But if you did that and looked that up and also looked at the originating IP, they're two completely different countries. So with a little bit of extra investigation, and sometimes it does take some time to look into it, you can verify what email is in your inbox and if it's legitimate. So with those different items, to, from, received, originating IP, and just a couple clicks within the internet, you can get a good idea on if this stuff that's sitting in your spam folder is actually legitimate or if it should remain in your spam folder and you just get rid of it.
Right.
So without looking at URLs, the header information is another great tool to help you verify if this email is bad or not.
Right. And I guess one of the things we'll have to keep in mind here is that even though, as cloud services become more popular, there are potential circumstances where something might be hosted in another country. I wouldn't describe this as conclusive information, but it certainly should feed into your suspicions if there are any.
I absolutely agree with you. It's not a foolproof way of determining if it's good or not, but there are some key aspects in there that should help you decide if this is good or bad. As you said, with cloud services and stuff like that, you're right. It's not 100%. But if you are seeing the originating IP from one place and it's showing something else, or the from address is really just not comfortable with you, trust your gut. That's something that I tell people all the time is if you're diving into this, trust your gut because it's not 100% out there.
Right.
And what you said is absolutely 100%. I agree with that, and you just have to be careful.
Yep, absolutely. All right, well, thank you, Tony. And I guess for folks that are watching this, viewing this, listening to it, if you have your own suggestions on what things to look for, experiences if you had, please share them with us. We'll be happy to. We certainly welcome those, and we'd be happy to share those with the audience here. And perhaps we can have some feedback as well. So we look forward to hearing from you.